Have you ever stopped to think about why gender and sexual orientation often influence the way boys and girls grow up differently? Let's look into how gender and sexual orientation shape our lives. From the games we play to the friends we choose, these factors play a big role in our socialization and development. How do these elements influence the choices we make every day? Gender roles have changed significantly over the years. Long ago, society expected boys to work outside, while girls stayed home to manage the household. For example, fathers were typically seen as the breadwinners, and mothers as the primary caregivers. However, movements like the women's rights movement and the fight for LGBTQ plus rights have transformed these traditional ideas. Today, more women pursue careers outside the home, such as becoming CEOs or engineers, and society is increasingly accepting of diverse sexual orientations. For instance, in many countries, women are now leaders in business and politics, like Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, or Jacinda Ardern, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, showing that career choices are no longer limited by gender. At the same time, many people still embrace traditional roles, such as men being the primary earners and women managing the household, and that's perfectly okay. It's important to celebrate both traditional roles and the choices individuals make to follow different paths, recognizing that most people may still choose traditional roles, and that's perfectly fine. Think about how movies and TV shows shape our views on gender. For instance, superheroes are usually portrayed as boys and princesses as girls. These recurring images influence what we consider normal and acceptable. Recently, movies like Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel feature strong female characters with varied acceptance, while series like Steven Universe include characters with diverse backgrounds and identities. Have you noticed more female superheroes or characters with different backgrounds in your favorite shows? This shift allows everyone to see themselves represented, whether they follow traditional roles or choose new ones. For example, seeing a boy character like Harry Potter, who values friendship and empathy, challenges the notion that boys must always be tough and unemotional. At the same time, many shows still feature traditional roles, such as male heroes and female characters who are saved, or at least paid attention to by the heroes and the villains. And that's completely fine too. Schools also contribute significantly to shaping our perceptions of gender. Some educational institutions have adopted gender inclusive curricula, which means they teach students about different identities. For example, a school might introduce lessons on famous women scientists like Marie Curie, or allow boys to join dance classes and girls to participate in sports teams. This encourages everyone to try new things without worrying about gender expectations. Whether it's a boy who loves ballet or a girl who excels in football, the goal is to create an environment where all choices are respected and celebrated. Most students may still follow traditional paths, and that's completely fine, but having the option to explore other interests is equally important. However, it's also important to recognize that some DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives have faced challenges. In areas like movies and video games, some argue that excessive focus on DEI can sometimes overshadow storytelling and character development, leading to backlash from audiences who feel their favorite genres are being compromised. For example, certain video games have been criticized for forced diversity that some players feel disrupts the game's original appeal. Families influence how we view gender and sexual orientation from a young age. Parents and siblings can either support us or pressure us to conform to certain roles. For example, a father encouraging his daughter to play soccer, or a mother supporting her son's interest in painting, can make a big difference. A family that encourages all members to follow their interests, regardless of their gender, helps children build a strong sense of self. Imagine a family where both boys and girls are encouraged to explore science, art, and sports equally. This support is essential for healthy development and self-esteem. Celebrating each person's unique interests, whether they align with traditional roles or not, fosters a loving and accepting home. Most families might still embrace traditional roles, and that's perfectly okay, as long as they support individual choices. Friends and social groups also impact how we express our gender. Peer pressure can push kids to act in ways that fit societal expectations. For example, a boy who enjoys wearing bright colors like blue or pink might face teasing, while a girl who loves science might receive different kinds of encouragement compared to her peers. Positive peer support, however, can make everyone feel more accepted and confident in expressing their true selves. Have you ever felt pressured by friends to act a certain way because of your gender? Encouraging friends to respect each other's choices helps everyone feel valued, whether they stick to traditional roles or explore new ones. Most people might follow traditional expressions, and that's completely fine, but having the freedom to express differently is equally important. Intersectionality is a concept that highlights how different parts of our identity, such as race, culture, and economic status, mix with gender and sexual orientation. For example, a black LGBTQ plus teen might face different challenges than someone from another background, such as dealing with both racial discrimination and homophobia. Understanding these overlapping identities helps us appreciate everyone's unique experiences. Think about how cultural expectations in one country might differ from another, affecting how gender roles are viewed and accepted. For instance, in some cultures, arranged marriages are common, which can influence how gender roles are perceived and followed. Celebrating both traditional and diverse identities enriches our communities without forcing anyone to change their heritage or personal choices. Most people may identify with their traditional cultural norms. That's perfectly okay, alongside embracing diversity. Laws and societal changes shape gender and LGBTQ plus rights. Marriage equality in countries like Canada and laws against workplace discrimination in European nations make society more open. These legal changes allow people to live openly and safely in a more inclusive community where diversity is respected and valued. In some countries, same sex marriage is now legal, which helps normalize different sexual orientations and promotes equality. It's crucial to support these changes while respect those who choose to maintain traditional roles and orientations. However, it's also important to note that large scale DEI efforts sometimes have unintended consequences. For example, some believe that an overemphasis on DEI fueled the rise of far right political parties, as certain groups feel alienated or driven out of left leaning communities. To balance DEI initiatives to support all individuals without harm to others is a complex challenge that society continues to navigate. When it comes to sexual orientation, current research includes theories like the biological theory, which suggests that genetics and or hormones play a role, and the social learning theory, which focuses on how our environment influences us. For example, studies have shown that there are genetic markers associated with same-sex attraction, supporting the biological theory. On the other hand, the social learning theory might look at how family acceptance or societal attitudes impact someone's comfort with their sexual orientation. These theories demonstrate that sexual orientation is a natural part of who we are, shaped by both inherent traits and external factors. Understanding these theories helps us see that being LGBTQ plus is just one aspect of a person's identity. Whether someone embraces a traditional orientation like heterosexuality or a different one like homosexuality or bisexuality, it's important to respect and celebrate their authentic selves. Most people identify with traditional orientations. That's completely fine, while others explore different orientations, and that's equally valid. People outside and inside traditional gender roles often face significant challenges. Women and men face their own set of challenges today. Women outgraduate men by about 10% globally, and with a higher likelihood of males avoiding college due to feeling pushed out, there's a growing need for male academic support and mental health resources. For instance, organizations like the Movember Foundation focus on men's mental health, recognizing that societal changes have created new pressures for men. With greater educational and employment access, women might undergo challenges to find a suitable partner, and many young men are challenged to locate a partner at all. To recognize barriers is the first step to overcome them and create a more equitable society. Witness someone face unfair treatment because they didn't or did fit traditional gender roles? It's important to support and respect everyone's choices, whether they align with yours or not. Most individuals may follow traditional roles without issue, but support to those who choose differently makes everyone feel valued. At the same time, to acknowledge the struggles men and women face today, provide them with the necessary support, is crucial for a balanced and healthy society. Despite obstacles, many people break free from society's expectations. They pursue interests that aren't typically linked to their gender or openly embrace their sexual orientation. This not only fosters personal growth, but also contributes to a richer society. Companies like Google and Microsoft provide mental health coverage, family and medical leave to men and women, and support diversity and inclusion initiatives, which leads to happier and more creative employees. When everyone feels free to be themselves, communities become stronger and more vibrant if they don't block others from their own goals. To celebrate both traditional roles and individual choices leads to a richer, more dynamic community. Research shows that inclusive environments benefit everyone's mental health. Studies indicate that students in gender inclusive schools perform better academically and feel safer. For example, a study from the American Psychological Association found that transgender students who are supported by their schools have lower rates of depression and higher academic achievement. Additionally, acceptance of diverse sexual orientations increased, with surveys like the Pew Research Center showing higher support for LGBTQ rights compared to a decade ago. These positive trends highlight the importance of fostering inclusivity in all areas of life. Imagine a school where every student feels safe and accepted. That's the kind of environment that helps everyone thrive, whether they follow traditional roles or choose their own paths. Most students may still align with traditional expectations, and that's perfectly fine, but creating an inclusive environment ensures everyone can succeed. Even though socialization rules are strong, people can choose to change them. They can pursue interests that aren't typically linked to their gender, or embrace their true sexual orientation despite societal pressures. Or they can choose to go with older societal norms and embrace the traditions of communities and faiths that may seem left behind by the modern world. This choice not only leads to personal growth, but also helps shift societal norms towards greater acceptance and inclusion. By making these changes, individuals can inspire others to do the same, creating a ripple effect of positive transformation. Importantly, this shift is about celebrating everyone's choices, not forcing anyone to abandon their traditions. Most people may continue with traditional roles, while others choose to explore different paths, enriching our society with their diversity. So, the next time you see someone act different from what you expect based on their gender or sexual orientation, remember that everyone can shape their own development. If we understand how these factors influence us, we can create a world where everyone feels free to be themselves. How can you contribute to a more inclusive society today? Celebrate both traditional roles and the unique choices of others to ensure that no one feels pressured to change or abandon who they are. It's perfectly fine for people to act in ways that match your expectations, just as it's perfectly fine for them to explore different paths. Embrace this balance to help everyone feel respected and valued.